Hello guys, and welcome back to another Tweaker Man video. So in this video we're going to be making speaker platforms. So if you're like me and you have to have your speakers on the side here, you don't want any resonance from the speaker vibrating into the top of the cabinet there. Even though this cabinet, the top of this is around 36mm thick, which is fairly thick, but you can still feel it. And also what it does is it vibrates back into the speaker cabinet. They're mudding the sound, and it really does sound awful when I see loads of people with speakers directly on their cabinets like that, and I'm just thinking that must sound absolutely awful. Even though I've put some Zorbophane feet on the underneath, it's still done the same. So I've been experimenting and this works really well, and that's what this is, but I'm taking this one stage further. So if you've been following my channel for a long time, you know that I make my isolation tables out of this honeycomb paper, sandwiched in between either 3mm plywood or 3mm MDF. So for this I'm using some 3mm MDF, and what we need for this job is a square. We need some PVA glue, we need some silicone. So this is some clear silicone here. We need a craft knife. You're going to need a saw as well, but I'm going to cut the pieces of wood up off camera, and then I'll just show you how to assemble it, because it will just speed the video up. And then I'll show you impregnating the honeycomb paper with silicone. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to impregnate one, then we're going to miss one, and then we're going to impregnate the next one. So it's going to be a bit of a scatter around, and it'll be a bit like a chessboard where one's black and one's white, but one will be filled with silicone and the other one won't be. So I'm going to measure up all the bits, get them cut, and I'll be back shortly. So I've now cut the pieces of ply here. I should say MDF in this instance. And what we're going to do is we're going to spread this out over the surface, the PVA, with a brush it all out. Okay, what I like to do as well with this, to make sure it really sticks really well to the surface, is to coat both sides, not the other side of this wood, but the side of the honeycomb packaging. So we've put some on there now, and I want to tip a bit onto here as well, just to give it a good coating on here as well. And then you have to put something heavy on top of it to keep it flat. You can't clamp it because it will just collapse. You've got to use, I just tend to use tins of beans, and we put anything that's heavy on top of it just to keep it down. So that's like that, and then we want to offer this back up again, push it down onto the surface. Okay, just like that. Don't worry if there's glue oozing out, it's better to have more glue than less. Right, let's just do the same to this side, and then I can get some heavy weights to put on it. Pile as much glue, try not to make it too thick, but just get enough, spread it out evenly, because otherwise you'll have a sort of raised lump in one area. There we go, spread that out again now. There we go. Right, let's just put that on top of there. Now, press it down well. So what we do is you can rub it a bit like that as well. It gives it a sort of rub joint. but you don't want anything too heavy on there. You don't want to collapse it, because this stuff only takes a certain amount of weight. So this is what I mean by putting something heavy on there. So you want to take that up to the end so it goes right over both. Put something heavy like those. And you might want to put a bit more weight on than that, because it will you need to make sure it's firmly seated down. So I'll put some onto this one here. Take it right over to the corners. Another one there. Another one there. Now we're going to need some more on the top of it, just to, because that isn't still quite weighty enough yet. So we'll get a couple more tins. Now here we go, half the supermarket on top of them. But you get my gist. I mean, the reason I don't use books is because there's glue involved, and if you've got books and you don't want to get them damaged, this is a very good way. Or if you've got a couple of bricks, you could use bricks on it. But I shall leave this now to dry for about 4 hours, and I'll be back and we'll go to the next stage. So I've left these drying now for over 4 hours. Take all these off now. And then what I'm going to do is cut these down with a saw, and I'll show you once I've cut them down. It's pretty easy, just trim it down with a saw. You can still see there's some residue there that's still slightly wet there, but it's been totally dried for 4 hours. So I'm going to just use a hand saw to cut this at the moment, and then I'm going to trim it on the linisher. You can actually just use a knife to cut this as well if you want to, but we'll get it to that stage. So it's actually a lot easier to use a knife than just to trim it. And then I'm going to sand it up on the linisher because it makes it nice and square. So we trim it down. You don't want to tear this too much. Right, so we can probably go a bit closer now. I think it's easier to go onto the linisher with that now, so let's go and do that. So here's the linisher, the disc sander I should say, and we're just going to gently sand it. There we go, that's the way to go. So I shall sand it all up with that and be back shortly. So there we have it. That is the way to go on the linisher, and then we're going to brace it all around the edges after. So I'm going to do the next one, and then we can show you how to fit the top. So because you can't actually see the honeycomb squares, right, you need to do like a rubbing over the top of it. Now it's a bit like brass rubbing. You just get your pencil just go over like that. So this side. And now you can see the chambers, all the little chambers like inside a bee's nest. So what we're going to do is we're just going to puncture that one there, then we're going to pump it full of each chamber. You see, then you're going to skip one and go to the next one. Right, ultimately you don't want to do that. You want to be able to get that off of the surface because we need to PVA that down afterwards again. Then I miss the next one. Right, I shall carry on and be back once I've finished. So I've now filled one up. It's got a lot more weight to it. I've just randomly put the holes in. It's very difficult to see them exactly, but I found a better way of doing it, so I'll show you that now. Silicone gone on there now. Need to wipe off. So just do it with the pencil. Put one in there, one in there, one in there. And then once you've punctured them all, you can then go around filling them up. And there. And there. I think that's about right there. Right, okay. So we do this again. We just get our you get the gist, and then afterwards you just get a blade and you need to go around and just scrape it all off. Okay, so I shall carry on. I'll be back once I've done that. So now I've filled up all the holes. No, saying that, I've got one more to go. I've just missed two. There, like one there. There we go, that one there. You get a lot better at it the further you go on. And now all you want to do is to scrape that over like that. And now this is going to need 24 hours to dry, so we'll leave that for 24 hours and then we'll be back. So you may be thinking, why have I added the silicone into some of these honeycomb chambers? It's purely because silicone is very good at vibration damping and also resonance that goes in, again, vibration damping. And by scattering the holes which we've impregnated, there'll be parts there that have still got air in them, so the combination works well. So once this is dried, as I said, we'll be fitting the top, but the top will be applied with spray adhesive because we've got silicone over the surface and PVA won't stick to that. So the top bit will be held in with heavy duty spray adhesive, which I use in the upholstery trade, and the sides will be PVA glued on once we've sanded them round again and put our bracing round the edge. So I'll be back once these are dry and we'll carry on. So I've just PVA'd both sides of the 3mm ply, the top part that's going to be stuck to the honeycomb paper. I'm going to leave this to dry before I use some spray adhesive over it to stick it down. So I've now left the two boards that I PVA'd up to dry overnight, and these are all nice and dry now. So what we've got to do is to apply the spray adhesive. So it's pretty easy. We're just using this spray adhesive. Okay, we need to put a nice thick layer onto it, all over. It needs to be nice and thick. Now the reason I use the PVA first is because it helps this glue adhere to the surface of the MDF better. Okay, so that's those ones done. So now I should spray the other two and I'll be back in a minute. So I've coated these really well as well. So all I've got to now do is to press the two together after about a couple of minutes. There's just a little bit on that edge there. I want to put a bit more on. And then once that's dried, then I'm going to press these two pieces onto them, and we should have a nice bond. So now these have been drying for a while. So what I'm going to do is I want to offer this up, and you've got to get this pretty good. I'll get that onto the edge there, onto the edge here. And then you want to turn that over. We're going to put something really heavy on that for a minute. Put that one there. Same goes with this one here. There we go. Give it a good press down, and there we go. I don't think we need anything heavy on this. I think this is good enough, just like that. It's stuck down really well. So now I've got to go and tune them up in the workshop there on the disc sander, just to get them all nice and square. Right, so now we just want to make sure all these are nicely squared up on here. I hope you can see that from here. There we go. Make sure the other side is nice and square. Right, that's nicely done. So all we've got to do now is to glue our bits here onto there, like so. We'll do that in a minute. We'll just get the other one done, and then we can glue them up outside there. So now we've got the two of them, they're totally square, and they're both the same size. And all we've got to do now is we need to add our pieces around the sides. So we're going to use some more PVA glue here, and we want to cover 2 of these here with PVA glue. And you're going to need some masking tape to do this as well. Just spread the whole thing over like that. So I'm doing this out in the garden, you might hear some background noise. There we go, so that's that one. Don't worry about the glue oozing over the top off of there. Right, so now we need to put that one on there, and this one this side. And we need some masking tape, so it's always probably best just to do one at a time to start with. Take that up like so. Now push that round, get this one so it overruns a little bit on each side, because we want to sand it back. We'll just gently put some tape around that just for now, down like that, just to hold it in place for a minute. Same with that one. Then move over to this side, push that up a bit. Push that down. And that one. Now what we need to do is just to put the masking tape round, and then pull it nice and tight down like that. We'll be taking this off after. It's just there to hold it in place. Move over a bit more, and we want to pull that round nice and tight as well. Another piece here, and then we're going to leave this to dry for about half an hour, because this glue cures within 30 minutes. That's it, give it a nice pulling down tight as you go round. Right, there we go. And then we're going to sand these end bits off and then put our caps on the end. So I'm going to crack on with the other one and I'll be back shortly. So we now have both taped up, so we'll leave these for half an hour and I'll be back then. So I've now sanded the ends back on here on the disc sander again. So now all we want to do is just glue these ends up again. So again we just apply some PVA down here. Spread it in with your finger again. All over. Fit that on the end. Stand it up. Right, we'll do the same thing again. Just take this over again. That's one. Do the same again here. Get that on there. It's always best to put more glue on than less. Right, now do the same again here. Pull it really tight down as you push the masking tape on. down like so. So now what we want to do, start over like that. And we can move that over like that, and down again there. Remembering you're going to be removing this masking tape after, you're not leaving it on there. Right, so we're going to leave that to dry for now, and then we'll sand the ends off of those. So here we have both taped up now. So I'll leave this for another half an hour, and then I can sand off the edge bits here so it's all flush all around, and then we need to sand the tops all around the edge so it all blends in well. And here's Tommy the tiger. He's got a lot bigger than you when I showed you him last time. He's a good boy, aren't you, Tommy? Keeps bringing in bits of bark from the garden he likes playing with. Hey, got a big long tail. So these are all dry now, so I'm just going to trim up and sand up the bits. So I've sanded the edges round, and now all we've got to do now is just to sand these overhangs down, and then they'll be nice and flat. I've finally finished them. These videos can drag out, obviously. You just want to see how they look and you're not interested in building them, or just scroll to the end of the video. So these are going to be painted. And you can, if you want to make these, you can wrap them in a plastic wrap like a Fablon, or you can veneer them, or you can paint them. And then you're going to need some feet on the underneath of these. So I'm just putting some small pieces of cork under there, because I just want, I don't need my listening position to be hired up that much more. So I'm going to put some cork pads on the underneath, and then the top of these will have the Zorbophane feet attached to the bottom of the speakers. So when you bang this now, it's got a dead sound. Obviously it's through that bar stool at the moment, but it's got a very dead sound about it. So it will absorb any resonance vibration that's coming from the speaker. It will absorb it into all of the honeycomb sections and the parts that have got the silicone in them. So I hope you like this build. They're all long-winded, these. I have to shed loads of clips, So I think that's it for this. So thanks for watching another Tweaker Man video. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to give this video a like, and don't forget to press that notification bell so you're notified each time I upload a new video. And thank you for watching, guys.